Feeling live, talk 99.5. I'm going to start with the weather, and I'm also about to talk about storm restoration. So those two go together. A couple of little small cells popping up this afternoon. We got little, I've got a forest fire indicator on here too. We've got a lot of little sporadic fires out there this evening. Some of you will get some rain tonight, nothing severe as we roll through the evening. But tomorrow we're looking out for some stronger weather, most likely in the evening. Looks like the timeline on that somewhere after about 5 o'clock. It'll be in the marginal parameters for some activity. And remember how quickly, just a short time ago, that was on a Friday. Was that last week or the week before when that sudden hailstorm popped up over in Trussville, causing all the trouble? And it was the weather day wasn't really predicted to go that strong, but it spun up. So we're in that time of the year. So just be weather aware. A slight outside chance from the forecasters that we could see something more serious than all this by around Wednesday of next week, but big chances of rain over the next, absolutely over the next several days, all the way through Wednesday. So we'll keep an eye on all those things. Could be as much as 2 or 3 inches of rain for some folks, and of course, we absolutely need it. My man Greg Nelson over at Storm Restoration is who I recommend if you had to live through that storm last week, or if you just need to have a good contact in mind in case things go squirrely during the spring season. It's good to have a roofer on standby, or at least somebody that you can reach out to quickly. Greg is a great guy. A good business starts with a good owner. He's been doing this, he's getting close to 30 full years, 3 decades in the business, and he knows his stuff. He knows the right products, the right installation techniques. He knows all the insurance companies and adjusters. He just works with them, what they'll accept, what they won't. I will tell you that you need to let him document your situation ahead of going to calling your adjuster, because you need to be able to button up and present a proper case for a claim. Some of you just have older roofs and it's time. So you'll need to reach out to him if you need that kind of work too. And if you just need a guess on what kind of lifespan you have left in your roof, some people just want to know. Let his company help you with all that low pressure cleaning. He's a great guy. He'll get it done for you. You can trust him. And when we do get these storms through here, there'll be these sort of troll companies that just sort of show up in your neighborhood trying to get work. And I do respect that, but you don't know who they are, where they came from. I'm giving you my endorsement of a company that'll do it right. It's Greg Nelson at Storm Restoration Roofing. And of course, he works on a phone number 205 542 3531. 205 542 3531. Storm Restoration Roofing. All right, I think we took care of that. Speaking of the weather, I'll go ahead and get this in here and then we'll move on. This thing up in Michigan, I think it was called Union City, Michigan. That was a big twister. I'm not going to try to estimate it from here, but that's easily an EF4 based on the debris that was in the air and the width of that thing. So tonight it's Michigan getting hammered, and apparently it was right over the town. Just a pretty good sized storm tearing up a lot of stuff. We haven't seen any incident reports or video from that this afternoon, but that did go down in the weather. So the worst stuff is far north of here as we get going on the spring weather season. Change the clocks. Was it tomorrow night? Yeah, because people are always late to get into church. I have to stop and think about it. Okay, so you set the clock forward. How does this work, AJ? So you always, why is it just so difficult? So if you don't move your clock, it's going to be time for church and you ain't going to know it. Or whatever you got to do the next day, you're going to be an hour behind. Is that right? Is that right?
I think
Is
so.
that the way it works? Because I used to see people rolling up and like, what are you thinking?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we forgot to set our clock. Most of my clocks do themselves. I mean, they're just, I mean, like the computers, some of the appliances and stuff, they're all on Wi-Fi now. They just self-adjust.
Yeah.
But I got a few that'll be throwing me off for a few days.
Well, look, I'm okay. So even though I have to pay attention to this whole daylight savings time thing, but I really don't change the clocks at all because I just kind of pay attention.
You just leave them that way all the time?
Because I'm gonna have to change them back again in the fall. It's like, why waste
Is
the
it
time?
really that hard?
Yeah.
Wouldn't you think living with a clock that's wrong all year is
Nope.
worse than just going over there and changing the stupid thing?
Nope.
I have to change the one on my oven, but it flashes all the time anyway because we get little power outages all the time, and that thing is always blinking. So
Yeah.
I do let it blink. You remember the
Yeah.
old VCRs?
Mm-hmm.
People just let the VCR blink. It's
Yeah.
just got to be too stupid.
Yeah. Cause like my clock on my oven, I'll set it,
Yep.
and then next thing I know, there's a blackout or a brownout in my in my neighborhood, and then it's like, okay, well, I'm just gonna leave it flashing, or just leave it at the time that it is. Nobody pays attention to that time. It's no time police.
Time police. I've got these boxes around the property in different positions that handle the nighttime sort of landscape lighting, the uplights on the trees and the gates and all that stuff. And I've got so much lighting over the course of that property. I've got 4 or 5 different boxes, I think. And one of them is kind of it was a trick in technology where they thought they could set it on the celestial calendar so it would just adjust itself, right? So it knows based on your time zone what time of day it is, and it'll just do the lights, based on the calendar for daytime, nighttime. So you don't need, I guess, a light sensor or whatever. But that stupid thing, that's all great. But if the power goes off, it goes back to 2023. It not only does not know where it is, it has no idea what year it is. And every time we lose power, I have to go reset that stupid box.
Yeah.
The older boxes that were just a little more manual are still working better than that thing.
That's funny.
I just bought it and I didn't even realize what I was getting into. Now I'm stuck with it. Sometimes the tech just doesn't work out. All right, let's do some Iran war updates. We'll get all this stuff in here. More of your phone calls too, if y'all want to get in. We started getting a flurry of calls, then we had to go to that break. A lot of things going on today. As far as the Iran war update, I think the biggest story this afternoon is the Gerald R. Ford. That would be the big aircraft carrier, the biggest aircraft carrier in our fleet, and its whole battle group apparently just moved into the Red Sea through the Suez and is getting into position to go on offense. And if you remember the battlefield dynamics we were describing, even before the hostilities started on Saturday, we saw the way the carrier groups were positioned. And I listened to a lot of military analysts, and they said the Ford's mission in the early days of this was to provide the defensive shield for the countries in the region, particularly Israel, once Iran started trying to respond. The other ships were being used to go on offense. So by moving the Ford, and the supposition is that they don't need it in that defensive position, it tells you everything you need to know about how this war is going, because they wouldn't, if the Iranians were still a missile threat, especially in the Mediterranean, they're not going to move the Ford. But if they move the Ford closer and get it into the Red Sea, it's on like Donkey Kong. What that means is the capacity to diminish the missiles, the Navy, and the nukes are all on schedule. And this was part of the phase 2 plan, we understand. So it's all working. As far as our goals are not to pick the next mullah. I heard a general today. I heard a general today talking about the anti-personnel efforts that the Israelis have been doing, where they keep blowing up the next mullahs. AJ, you know the game Whack-A-Mole, like at the Chuck E. Cheese? He called it Whack-A-Mullah. It's like, dang, why didn't I think of that? That's funny. So we're not doing the Whack-A-Mullah. That's really the Israeli, with their exquisite intelligence, hitting everybody that steps up to be the next mullah. I saw a spoof too. It was a billboard out in the streets of Tehran going, "We need you to volunteer to be the supreme leader." That's like they were recruiting because nobody wants to do it right now. So as far as that, I don't know how far. Apparently, they do have command and control problems. Their communications amongst their response units is down. They're lobbing stuff that was already pre-deployed. Some of these drones. We took out the drone ship yesterday. That was a huge asset for the Iranians to keep those drones. The Iranians thought they could take that boat and move it toward India and shelter it from the activities and put it back into theater later. In other words, just hide from us for a minute and preserve that part of their drone program. We blew it up. It's gone. It's in the bottom of the Indian Ocean now. And so it looks like everything's being effective. Again, I'm looking past what the Trump spokespeople are saying, what their critics are saying about how well it's going, just looking at where they're moving around. And that move today of moving a whole battle group into a different fighting position tells you that they feel like they don't need that defensive posture that the Iranians aren't as big a threat. Yesterday, as of yesterday, their missile capability had dropped, or the number of missiles they were firing had dropped down to 90, had dropped by 90%. Those are good numbers. So all that's going on. And then we see the other nations that are potentially to get involved here. There's a country over there called Azerbaijan. That's a lot to say. If you're from there, are you an Azerbaijanian? Or an Azerbaijan? It's a big country. It's a tiny country, but they're pretty sophisticated in terms of their defense systems. And there's a story out this afternoon that claims that their security service, they've got their own intelligence and security services, say that they stopped some Iranian intelligence agents from committing sabotage attacks on some infrastructure in their country. They interdicted them and caught them. And so their targets were a pipeline with a long name that most of you wouldn't recognize anyway, the Israeli embassy in Azerbaijan, the leader of the Jewish religious community, and a synagogue. So that's not good news, but it also, to me, being a non military analyst, it paints a picture that they're now down to terror cells and domestic threats and low tech response for whatever's left of the regime. And those people are deployed. We believe there are terror cells scattered out in this country because of the dangerous immigration policies that were allowed under the last administration. And those people were let in years ago and waiting to go active. There was some reporting today that some kind of shortwave message went out activating those cells. The reason I don't believe that is who's going to give the message? They don't know who's in charge. Think of this. You're in a terror cell out here running around. You got your group. Maybe you already know your target, but you need permission as part of their strategy. And then some random messages comes out from Man Meat. It's like, who is Man Meat? He's the new Ayatollah. Well, I don't know him. Are you sure? Is that AI? You think they're going to trust those messages? They've blown up everybody that the field folks knew that were in charge. It's a big turban to fill for sure. But here we are. So I guess the bottom line is, as for the reporting today, everything seems to still be on track and positive, and there's still a lot of bad information going out there. And it's still disgusting to see how people on the left are pulling for us to lose. They're pulling for setbacks. They're pulling for negative stories. They want soldiers killed, kidnapped. They want damage. The only thing they've got to cling to is the oil price went up. And that was 100% predictable and 100% manageable. And that'll be 100% over the quicker the United States military continues to assert itself. Now, I'm going to go over this again so it'll help us remember, and y'all can repeat it to your idiot cousin or family member that doesn't keep up and doesn't have much information on either side of politics, because there are a lot of people to the right that think this is the next Iraq war. That's just so ridiculous. The countries aren't the same, tactics aren't the same, the culture isn't the same, the threat isn't the same, and the commitment isn't the same. The Trump administration has told us unequivocally they got three main objectives: take out the nukes, all of it, everything associated with the nukes. We hit Fordham with a surprise attack just to take out their main facility where they had spun up the centrifuges and were getting ready to launch. That was a strike, a quick strike, a surprise strike. It was effective, but their infrastructure to build this kind of devastation is all over the country. They got secret labs, scientists all over the place, production facilities, enrichment facilities, other stuff that's hidden. So on the nuclear front, to continue to pound that stuff and find that stuff and get it with the underground bunkers until there's no more nuke program. It's gone. So you've taken out the extremists at the top, taken out the nuke program. Phase two was to get rid of their Navy. Their Navy gives them the ability to really be, especially with the drones, be devastating and hostile toward their neighbors. As of today, the Trump administration declared their Navy is now non-functional. I think what they mean by that is they may still have a boat or two floating around somewhere, but they're not a threat to the region anymore. And then, of course, their missile launch capability. That would be the medium and long range missiles that the Iranians had that, again, threaten more of their neighbors than us. They can't reach us with those right now, but they can reach their neighbors. And I heard a military general last night explain it, and he was so dead on point. There's two worldviews as to how this is going and what it means. The Israelis are caught up because they live in the neighborhood in a regional view of this war as the regional threat to them and their fellow neighbors, most of them Arab and Muslim countries. The threat to those countries has been radically diminished. That changes a lot in that region immediately. So regionally, things are improving, and there'll still be drones, there'll still be incidents, but there's a regional outcome, and that'll eventually include whoever succeeds the Ayatollah. But then there's a global strategy here, and Americans care more about the global strategy than even the regional strategy. And that's where a lot of folks get caught up in. This is none of our business. We should stay out of it. We don't. No, we live in the world. The last time I checked, all of us live on the planet Earth, and the Chinese threat, the Russian threat, and the economic threats of the Iranians being able to choke off the strait and completely crush oil production or do anything they want in those ways, that's going away by the minute. The Chinese are checked like they've never been checked, and they're absolutely a threat to us. And we've got a way to box them in without firing a single shot at the Chinese and neuter them. For the first time in 7 years, they quit sending aircraft into the strait near China, near Taiwan, where they're constantly keeping pressure on Taiwan, and training right in their face to keep them under pressure. They didn't send any aircraft for it. First time in 7 years. Why? Because they got to save on energy. They're running out of oil. Their oil's bottled up because of this closing of the strait and all of this tension. And somewhere today I saw a meme where we had renamed it instead of the Strait of Hormuz. AJ, you know what the new name is? You know what it is? The
Oh.
Strait of America. We own it. We're in charge of it. Screw off Lloyd's of London and all your British little friends. Man, I got other European stuff too. The reactions around Europe are coming in all over the place. It's the globalists versus the anti-globalists. Didn't it? This isn't us versus the French. This isn't Muslim versus Christian. This is globalism versus the nations that want to restore themselves, and it's utterly fascinating. More on that in a minute. Eddie, you hang on. I got to get this break. Back in a minute. Leland Live. Hey, in these kind of crazy times with all the market uncertainty, some people are going to get nervous about their investment spending. Look, have a professional like Danny Knowles that you can trust to give you sound advice. Keep you calm in the storm. Keep your money on track. It happens. Markets go up, markets go down. You shouldn't get too crazy either way. Just be steady, Freddie, with their techniques and algorithms and whatever else, their juju, their magic, their voodoo, whatever they do. Danny has just been doing this for years. He's a lifelong friend of mine, and he gets how to move money and keep money steady so that the return is there for you, and you don't have to lose sleep over down weeks in the market like this because of global situations. It's the Knowles Group. Y'all listen to him this weekend, Understanding Money with the KnowlesGroup.com. And y'all call my friend Danny and sit down and see if it's a fit with you. The KnowlesGroup.com. Eddie's in Wilsonville. What's up, Eddie?
Hey, Leland,
Hey.
I go back to a couple of years ago during Biden's incompetent border.
Mm-hmm.
I remember you telling us 20 million if 20 million came across the border.
Oh, yeah.
If 1% of them wanted to deal ill will, that's 200,000.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know, we're winning the war, but if everybody just stay vigilant, if you got a sidearm, send a couple down range, get accurate with it. If you see something, say something. But one can be right, but the government has to be right 100% of the time.
No doubt about it. And they can't look, Homeland Security's defunded right now. These guys are working without
Yeah.
pay. They're stressed out and working without pay because of a Democrat stunt. And they're the ones that let these people in here in the first place. They've made our country more dangerous.
That's why we love leaving them, AJ.
Look out now. Thank you, Eddie. You have a good weekend, my friend. Yeah, keep your head on the swivel. Other advice, stay cock locked and ready to rock, train with your weapon, and profile the hell out of people. If you see somebody suspicious, go the other way. That's just nature. It's survival techniques. Don't worry about their feelings. Man, it's time to talk to my man Thomas. He's over at Stockton Mortgage as they're getting ready to wrap up a week two, helping people make the dreams come through. It's a nervous time when you start in the mortgage process. It just is. I think it's natural instinct. But Thomas and them are so good at just working with you. You don't have to stress. They'll guide you along, get it done for you. Thomas, how are y'all tonight?
Hey man, we're doing fantastic. That's right. We always say our slogan at Stockton is "You find the house and we'll do the rest."
Hmm.
So that is, if you go to our
Okay.
website, that's the slogan on our website.
Of all
You
these years
you
you've been
find
on
the
the
house
radio,
and we do the rest.
all these
That's
years you've
right.
been on
So
with us, I had no idea that was your slogan. I'll start
that
using it.
that's right. That is Stockton slogan. So we try to make it easy as possible. You're always gonna have bumps in the road, but we always try to smooth those out and walk with you throughout the entire process. Because it is, sometimes it is a scary process, especially if you've never gone through it before. But it's really not that difficult. If you can buy a car, you can buy a home, and people are always fearful of the unknown.
Yep.
And people rent. I think a lot of people go in and they rent. They rent their entire life because that's what they know, and they're just fearful of, well, I don't think I can buy a house, but they never try because just out of the unknown, they just don't know where to get started, or they don't know if they're gonna. The fear of getting told no. I think that's such a small word that is so powerful. No, and let's take the power away from that word. Our job at Stockton, or our job as loan officers and mortgage professionals, is not to say no. Our job is to figure out how to say yes. Our job is to work with you and in your situation and figure out how to put you into a home, or to figure out how to put a plan together if you're trying to refinance. Our job is to figure out how to get you the perfect situation and the perfect refinance, whether it be a cash out or saving you money monthly on just refinancing your mortgage. That's what our job is. So our job is not to say no. So we're in this to help you. So give us a call today. Let us put a plan together that's saving you money or putting you in that new home. It's 205-859-8859 or savewithstockton.com.
SaveWithStockton.com. Thomas, you have a great weekend and a good week
Yes, sir,
next
man.
week, and we'll hold it
All
down
right.
for you. Appreciate you, buddy.
All right, man. Thank you, man. Bye-bye.
SaveWithStockton.com, 20 minutes till. We've got a little bit of a thunderstorm starting to brew. These things are moving in a weird direction because this is not like a front coming in. This is just instability floating around. So we got one that looks like it's going to build up just south of maybe 459 and move through up 459 toward Trussville, North Shelby County, within the next hour and a half. So could affect traffic. Not anything severe, but a pretty heavy thunderstorm. And here we go with a weekend. It could be full of those kind of things. Okay, let me go back to the Iran. I want to mop up some Iran stuff and follow up on a thought I gave you a little while ago as we get wrapped up for the week. What a week it's been. First up, there was this CNN thing. I couldn't believe what I was watching. It was literally a CNN reporter walking around in a peaceful part of Iran, pretending to demonstrate that there's nothing going on here. That the people aren't out in the streets cheering to get for America. It was such propaganda. And here's the question: any 5-year-old would know. Iran's not going to let CNN to report anything but that, and CNN went along with it. Like they just became the Baghdad Bob of this thing as a news network. They never fail to stun me as many times as they get caught and as many viewers as they've lost and all their credibility shot straight to hell. They keep doing it. They keep absolutely propagandizing anything they want to. So you had that story, and that reminded me. I was reminded of that when I saw this come across. Apparently, the BBC has done it again. They're under threat to be sued, or maybe I think Trump has already sued him for altering one of his speeches. It was the January 6th speech. They tried to make it look more sinister, as if he was directing people into the Capitol, and he wasn't. Well, apparently they've done it with Pete Hegseth too, and it was over the Persian Gulf dispute. Now I could go through the clips and play all of them and show you what they changed. It's a little deeper than we have time to go into, but I'm seeing a headline on that right now where they're under fire right now at the BBC for altering. Look, you can always edit. I lived a big part of my life doing this stuff. You can clip a news clip off the beginning and the end just for space. Every news presentation has limited space. Even if you're typing an article, you got so much room for quotes, so much room for the article. In a TV newscast, there's usually not a soundbite over 10 or 12 seconds long unless it's super compelling. Even in a live environment where we're 24/7, they chip these things down. But when the edit changes the meaning of something, especially when you hack something out of the middle and piece it together, or you take off like a predicating setup for a statement that comes after that. And I'll give you an example. Some of the Republicans are doing this right now with this weirdo the Democrats have elected to be their Senate candidate. He made a statement in the past that he believed the Mexican border should have a big welcome mat on it. And he did say that. But he went on to say, but it should have a big door with a lock and we should decide who comes in. So by just using the welcome mat quote, they're mischaracterizing the rest of the guy's thoughts. And I don't like the guy. Hope he goes down in flames. But that's just not, to me, when you get caught doing that, all your credibility's gone. I'm never going to listen to you again. So here's the BBC doing what the BBC does and screwing around with Hexef because they've got a debate in their country right now over their own role in this stuff. They have decided to defy hundreds of years of relationship between us and that country and not be supportive of this mission. When you've got 46 other nations, they may be the biggest Muslim country, the UK, that's not participating, but the rest of the Muslim countries are absolutely behind what we're doing and helping us behind the scenes to streamline and use their resources in the region. It's because they're being led by these wimps, these very wimpy beta males that are afraid of the Muslims in their own country. So I've got this soundbite. AJ, was it clean enough to use? This was a soundbite from over in the United Kingdom. Can you give me a thumbs up? I can't even.
Yeah. Well, the problem is, I think it might be AI.
It's not real?
Yeah.
Well, let's don't use it then.
Yeah.
Good catch. I sent a quote over to AJ to vet.
I mean, it's clean, but I think it's AI.
Well, let's don't run it. If
Yeah.
there's any suspicion, nowadays you got to look for that. Yeah, because it looks a little too perfect.
Yeah.
Plus,
because she's like, what she's wearing.
She looks like an American, doesn't she? Yeah.
Right. And then everybody else is dressed all a certain way.
Yeah, they got on coats, and she's wearing like a spaghetti top, and yeah, that's a good dead giveaway. Dead giveaway.
Dead giveaway.
Yeah, sometimes the AI will trick us. I just saw this come across, and I thought it might be something interesting. The point being, they're having the same problems we are over the forced migration. Their government's trying to protect that. A big part of that migration in their part of the world is coming from Islamic countries. Y'all know all this stuff. We're dealing with mostly Central and South Americans that were the bulk of the globalist push of shoving people into our country. The reason they started ramping it up here is because it's been working in the United Kingdom very, very effectively of changing. If you change the culture, you change the politics. I've said it for years. It's true all over the world. Always has been. Politics are downstream from the culture. So we put up with what we put up with. We get what we put up with. And so we're slowly eroding. You've got real, absolute, vapid morons, soulless cowards in both parties in the United States Congress. And by the way, speaking of which, it made me think of Tom Massey. Some reporting tonight where they're going through his campaign contributions, and he's got huge contributions from this activist Muslim family that also supports Ilhan Omar and those folks. Now you kind of see where he's been coming from. But these people get bought. They get bought by their contributors' contributions. And no matter what it is, whether it's a defense contractor, a pharmaceutical company, or a terrorist group, they're influenced by the people that write them checks. And so that defines Massey. A little bit of a controversy for him. I don't understand Kentucky whatsoever. But anyway, back to the focus. The fallout is geopolitical, and as I talked about earlier, it's global. And another theme I had a few days ago is success breeds success. And the more the military component of this mission continues to be successful, and it has been, almost without question, with the exception of the 6 people we lost. It's not perfect, and we've never executed a war of this scope without having casualties. It's almost impossible. And to be honest with you, I'm amazed that's all that's happened in a week. We're almost to a full week of fighting. Um, we just moved the aircraft carrier. We're going into to a different phase about 2 weeks earlier than we should have. If that continues, more and more strength and confidence happens both in the region and in the world. And then we're completely in control of the thing. The Suez Canal opens back up. The Iranian oil hits the markets. The Venezuelan situation's already smoother than anybody predicted when all that happened. You got to have a plan for this, and I'm 100% convinced, based on what we're hearing this afternoon, that we're so close to achieving those three objectives. We're out of there in just a few days. We don't have to continue the bombing. Not that we're leaving the region, but we're not going to go there and try to set up shop and prop up a country. That's not our thing. Our thing, though, is blowing people's stuff up and killing them, and we're real good at that, especially the United States military. And mullahs are on the run. Whack-a-mullah is in full effect. Ox Foundation Solutions, ready to come take care of you too. Look, when we get all this rain the next few days, you may notice the presence of water in your home. Sometimes you may not even be able to see it, but you can smell it. If you got a crawl space and it's all dank under there and you just know it's wetter than it should be, but you can't quite tell where it's coming from, you got a problem. There should never be water under your house or in your house. And Ox can come over there and literally, I know it's a pun, but get to the bottom of it. They are a foundation company, and it all starts there. Shifts, cracks, water, mold, all of these things, they handle it. Encapsulation, that's one of the final things you do once you've repaired all the damage. As we move into the wetter season and the spring season, all this moving water can find its way in, and it is just problem after problem when that happens. Trust the pros that I trust and reach out to oxstrong.com. How strong? Ox Strong. Back here in a minute. All right, man. It's 5:53. Let's get this thing wrapped up. Allen and Company bringing you the show tonight. Boy, what a great gift giving place that is. That's my go to, y'all. They've been with us for years. There've been so many special occasions. I wish we had a head count of folks that are in this audience that got engaged with their engagement setting from Allen and Company, or got married, or did the upgrades, and countless numbers of people that have gone by for quick gifts on special occasions. They can custom create and do just about anything. And I don't talk enough about their laser etching services. I've actually done that. Alan turned something around for me when my first grandchild was born. He turned around this little thing I had done to commemorate his birthday. AJ, I thought it was going to be a tradition for all my grandkids when they were born.
Yeah.
It was like it was the dumbest thing I ever came up with. I was so excited, right? So I called Alan. I said, Alan, I want to get a ring for my son and put his name on it, like a championship ring,
Right.
and put his little name and his birth date on it. And he was born out in Texas, but I needed it like that day because I was going to fly to Dallas. And I'll never forget, my son opened it up and went, oh, okay. I was thinking to myself all the way there. I had the little thing in my pocket. I was like, I'm going to do this for every grandchild that's born. They can keep it in a little thing. I have their little days on it. He didn't say he didn't like it, but he gave me this look. The other day I brought it up. I said, I was kind of embarrassed. He goes, man, I don't even remember that. It's like, I don't know where it is. The point was, I was exuberant. I was a new grandpa. And that was how I rolled. The good thing was Alan could just turn that around so fast. If you need some etching done, logos, dates, here comes graduation season is right here on us. Sometimes you want to commemorate the graduate. They'll help you put it together. It's Allen and Company in Vestavia for everything you need with this kind of stuff. And of course, your repairs, upgrades, all the work you have to do from time to time. Allen and Company. I just saw some images, and I was afraid this was going to be the case from a tornado in a place called Union City, Michigan tonight. And when we saw the images of the tornado earlier today, this thing was a monster. It was on the ground. This was taken from a distance. Looks like across a lake. You could see all this debris in the air. And now we're seeing the damage pictures just before sunset, and it mangled everything in that little town. I'm not trying to get ahead of the weather service, but that is clearly, to me, EF4 type damage, where trees were twisted completely off, houses off their foundations, cars tossed about like toys, and just mangled on all sides where they rolled around. We don't have any reports of loss of life. There have been some other images coming in from a place called Three Rivers, where you've got big wall collapses like you see on some of these giant flat roof buildings. That stuff's starting to come in tonight. So prayers up for the people that live there, the people that were underneath that stuff, and the people in the rescue business. I understand there's been some heavy activity in Oklahoma tonight too. Oklahoma, no stranger to twisters. And so this system is far north of us, and we're not under threat this evening, us personally. Let me double check the radar. I'm watching something that's supposed to develop sort of south of town and sort of grow toward Birmingham. Yeah, that could cause some thunder and lightning, North Shelby, eastern Jefferson County in about an hour or so. And there's a little bit down around Tuscaloosa, but tonight's not the big event. Tomorrow will be a little more weather aware and have a good source of information. And, of course, we'll try to be here for you if need be. AJ, I hope the Marshall birthday party goes off without a hitch. Do y'all have a theme? You got something crazy going on? Anybody dressed up in a suit?
No, I'm not. Well, no, I'm not dressing up in no suit. But yeah, everything's looking good. You know, we're just trying to keep an eye on the weather, obviously. But other than that, yeah, I'm super excited. The Big Five. I mean,
it's a big one. Yeah.
It is.
My little granddaughter had one a couple of weeks ago. We were out of town, but y'all, they rented little tiny ponies.
Oh wow!
They had little ponies. They don't have a huge backyard, but all the little girls were in princess outfits riding around on ponies.
Yeah.
It gets the thing is, every year you wind up having to outdo it. So my advice is pace yourself, because you can't always outdo yourself. You'll be spending some serious coin down the road.
Yeah. Well, we're keeping it simple, keeping it pretty mild. This go around, and obviously I know as he gets older, the party and the budget's going to get higher. But I'm just afraid when my baby girl gets a certain age.
It's the girls. It's always the girls. I will say this about my sons. At some age, they don't want huge parties anymore.
Mhm.
They just want to do something with like 3 or 4 of their buddies, at least boys.
Yeah.
They get it's the girls will go nuts, but the boys will be like, nah, just a couple of friends. Let's go, play golf, do a golf thing or trampoline thing or something like that.
Yeah.
Or let's just, watch movies or play video games or whatever they want to do.
Just trying to keep it simple, keep it real.
Keep it simple, man.
Yeah. That's it.
One more time for Lonnie is Furniture Company. If you're looking for something to do, it's going to be kind of inclement this weekend. Not a good weekend for starting. Like I got some projects I want to do, but I'm not going to start them and have to stop for the weather. So I'm just going to put them off. It's a good weekend to go browse and shop at their giant, big old superstore up there in Kimberly, Alabama, right off I-65. You'll love getting to know them. Even if you're not ready to buy, just go take a look. It's a good indoor thing to do and let them show you what they've got inside the home, outside the home, bedding, dining, of course, all the living room stuff you could imagine. Accessories, they've got a rug collections and lamps and all kinds of things that might inspire you. You get to know them, they'll be your furniture store. Worth the drive from all over this listening area. Y'all, it's my friends at Lonnie's Furniture Company, L-A-U-N-I-U-S, Lonnie'sFurnitureCompany.com. Well, we'll see what's going on and what other crazy thing will happen this weekend by the time we get back on Monday. Y'all stay tuned for Breaking Bread.
Yes. Have a good weekend. Stay dry out there. Happy birthday, Marshall. Dad loves you.
Oh. You want me to say wash your hands to him?
Yeah.
Marshall, wash your hands.
Wash your hands.
Wash your hands.
Goodbye, AJ.